keep those plants alive during a heat wave, I'm gonna give you guys 5 extremely easy heat wave hacks right now. Let's go. As you guys are, I'm sure, aware, summer heat can be an absolute killer for landscape plants, especially here in the Southwest where temps can easily hit 100 plus. In the heat of the summer, plants tend to look a little bit wilty and tired and just terrible. And as a result, it makes your landscape look bad, your curb appeal goes down, and you are just angry and unhappy every time you come home looking at a terrible landscape. Even native plants can just look tired and unhappy during a heat wave. But there are some easy hacks to do that I'm gonna share with you guys to ultimately save you time and money from having to pull out old plants and replant the next season. These will be game changers. All right, the first heat wave hack is possibly the simplest. If you have fruit-bearing trees or plants, simply harvest the right fruit. Yes, it is that easy. This would of course only be relevant to trees that bear fruit during the warm season, such as figs, stone fruit, guavas, things like that. Picking the right fruit helps the tree by allowing it to use its energy and nutrients to stay alive and maintain its health, which is super crucial when the sun is just beating down at 100+ degrees on your tree or plant. So don't neglect harvesting the right fruit. It will of course make your belly happy and it will make your tree happy. All right, the second heat wave hack is just as simple as the first. Keep an eye on the weather, and if you see a heat wave coming, be sure to do a deep watering the night before the heat wave. I'm always checking my weather apps to see what the weather's gonna be like for the next week or two. And if I see we're gonna have a few days of some really nasty heat, I make sure to give my plants a big drink of water that evening. That extra saturation of the soil is really gonna help the plants as they go into the heat waves. Just gonna give them extra water to pull from and keep them looking good. Simple, right? So far, so good. That segues into heat wave hack number 3, which involves your watering time and frequency. If possible, water right before sunup. This is of course easier if you have an automatic system that you could just set the timer so you're not having to wake up at the crack of dawn every day. I don't know, some of you guys might like that. That's not me. I would much rather go to my timer and just set the time appropriately. The first thing I want to set is the start time. And in most analog timers, this is pretty easy to access. There's usually a big dial that just says start time. And then you turn the dial to that and simply adjust your time. It's usually going to be between about 4 and 5 a.m. That's kind of that sweet spot. So often I see irrigation watering that's happening at the wrong time, later morning, during the day when the sun's out. And besides it just being an epic waste of water, but the plants don't receive the full benefit from the watering cycle due to evaporation. Now, besides adjusting your watering time, you might actually need to up the frequency of your watering. And that might include short bursts of water throughout the day. And you're really gonna wanna pay close attention to your plants. If they start to look a little bit wilted or unhappy, give them a short burst of water, whether it be from the hose or manually turning on your irrigation system. This is gonna keep plants from hitting that crucial wilting point that could potentially lead to plant death or just making it very, very unhappy, and then you have to trim it way back and wait for new foliage to start. Now, a side note, be careful with overwatering. You don't want to do that continuously because you could waterlog the roots and then there could be root rot and fungus, and then that's just a bad scene. That will kill your plant also. There's a fine balance between those extra bursts of water when needed versus overwatering. And this really just needs that visual attention on the plants. Hack number 4, install a nice thick layer of mulch over your planter areas. This is crucial. Mulch is so beneficial for the landscape in so many ways, but in regards to watering, it helps lock in moisture and prevent evaporation off the surface of the soil. It also keeps the plant's root systems much cooler. and it disperses irrigation water more slowly and evenly. I recommend installing at least a 2-inch layer of mulch to really be effective. Now, besides that, there are other benefits of mulch as well. It acts as a natural weed abatement, it adds nutrients back into the soil as it decomposes, and just adds a nice finishing touch to the landscape, like icing on the cake. Mulch is something that I install in nearly every landscape project because it brings just so many positive attributes to the landscape. All right, heat wave hack number 5, and that is covering heat sensitive plants. I realize this might not be for every landscape, but for those of us that might have newly planted saplings, tender perennials, or succulents that might have a heat sensitivity, covering them could mean the difference between life and death, or at least the potential of getting very, very badly sunburned. You'll want to use nursery shade fabric, which can be purchased in big box stores, specialty landscape supply stores, and of course, online. You can either gently place it over the plants or create a small canopy with stakes and ties or whatever you can find to hold it up, and just pull them off as soon as the heat wave's done, just to allow the plants to continue to get that natural exposure. Now, a bit of bonus info here. I actually like to continuously deadhead my plants during the warm season, especially if there's a heat wave. And this is really gonna help the plants direct their energy to staying alive and staying healthy versus spending energy on the blooms. Now, that doesn't mean I'm gonna cut all the blooms off, especially if they're looking really nice. I'm just gonna cut off the spent blooms, the ones that have already been done blooming and they're pretty much dead or crispy. This will help the plant retain its energy, but it will also keep the plant just looking nice and tidy and neat throughout the summer versus letting them get ragged and go downhill. So that is all I have for you guys today. Hopefully this video has been helpful. If you've got any other tips and tricks on how to keep your plants looking good through the warm season, put them in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification so you know when the next video comes out. I will see you guys on the next one, and as always, happy planting.